Hey everybody, hope this finds you doing well. This is Danelle here at Networkchain. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Plenty of news over the past week in the cryptocurrency world. Bitcoin currently trading at $105,827. It's up nearly 2% over the past week. It actually dipped down to around 101,000 earlier in the past week, and now we're starting off this new week with it jumping up to back over $105,000. Ethereum currently trading above $2,500. It's up 3.68% over the past 7 days. XRP is up 3.46%, trading almost near $2.5. You see Solana is also at $175, up about 2.71%. Dogecoin still above 20 cents at 23 cents, up nearly 4%. Cardano and Tron still rounding out the top 10. If we go and look at a little bit closer at the Bitcoin chart, you can see Bitcoin is currently having a nice run since the beginning of April. It's gone up about 40% over the past 6 weeks. So we definitely have been on a bit of a heater. Time will tell whether or not we'll continue to go on this upward trajectory. Usually what goes up must come down. So we shall see if we'll continue to see this win streak in the weekly chart. But there is definitely a possibility that we could continue to go up. Once we pass this 109, 110 mark, we definitely will be in that price discovery phase. But there's also a possibility that we can be coming back down below 100,000, maybe even testing the range between 80 and 90,000 potentially if we get back to this range. So we may start to be range bound between that $80,000-$90,000 mark to 100 to 110. But time will tell. We potentially could see some more growth, as we will talk about in a moment. With the amount of demand that is coming into Bitcoin, it is definitely possible that we could continue to see higher prices over the next several months, and definitely going into the latter part of 2025. One of the bigger news stories that came out over the past week is that Coinbase was hacked. Apparently it was a bit of an inside job, and they were bribed for, or there was an attempt to bribe them for $20 million. Coinbase did not comply with that bribe, and they are working with authorities to go after a group of rogue overseas support agents. And you can see that they attempted to steal Coinbase customer data, and they actually did steal Coinbase customer data. And so what we know so far is that they did get a database with the names, addresses, phone numbers, and emails of Coinbase customers. I'm not sure if it was all of their customers, but they did receive information, very private information, on a number of their customers. So this is just a reminder that it's very important to understand that if you do hold your crypto on an exchange like a Coinbase, even a Robinhood, there's a possibility those funds could be lost, and it's definitely happened in the past. There could also be third-party risk with a situation like FTX that went into bankruptcy. Same thing with Celsius and BlockFi. So there's always a risk when you hold your crypto on a third-party platform. Now, if you hold it in cold storage on your own, you have to trust yourself and your security measures to make sure that you are able to secure that crypto, because there's also security risk there as well. So you definitely want to make sure that you do your research and due diligence when it comes to the security measures that need to be taken, and the risks when it comes to holding it in cold storage, holding it in a hot wallet, say on your mobile phone, or holding it on an exchange like a Coinbase, because there definitely is a possibility that there could be issues when it comes to losing your funds, or even being exposed and your information being exposed. Particularly like in this case with Coinbase, the mass social security numbers, which only showed your last 4 digits, but that was shown along with your name, government ID images, because when you had to do your KYC, which is known as Know Your Customer, to have funds on the Coinbase app, you had to take a picture of your driver's license. There's account data that was stolen. So this type of information is obviously very sensitive, and it was compromised being on this Coinbase platform. So it's definitely something to consider when you're looking to hold your cryptocurrency on other exchanges. So just make sure that you constantly are staying on top of what's going on with these third-party platforms. And it's just a reminder that you snooze and you could potentially lose all of your cryptocurrency. Another big story that came out over the past week is that Galaxy, it used to be traded over the counter. They are a crypto native company. They invested in crypto very early on, and they have now gotten a listing on the NASDAQ. So now they're available on the NASDAQ to be traded. And initially it was traded on Canadian exchanges, and now you can have access to it through US exchanges being listed on the NASDAQ. So I believe that ticker is GLXY. Another company as well that was also traded on over the counter and traded through Canadian exchanges is called DeFi Technologies. So it's just another indication of the interest that is coming into cryptocurrency, and now it's starting to crack into traditional finance. Coinbase was added to the S&P 500, and now you see companies like Galaxy and DeFi Technologies that are being added to the NASDAQ. We also know about Cantor Equity Partners. They are going to be turned into 21 via a SPAC. That's also going to be listed most likely on the NASDAQ as well. It's currently trading, I believe CEP is the ticker now. Once it turns into 21, it'll probably change the ticker to, I believe, XXI. Time will tell. But it's just going to show what's happening when it comes to these traditional finance mechanisms that are now becoming available through these now crypto native companies, and these Bitcoin treasury companies that have a mission to continue to accumulate Bitcoin and have Bitcoin on the balance sheet, because we're seeing that the dollar is continuing to lose value against Bitcoin, against other cryptocurrencies. We're noticing that a lot more companies are starting to get more interested, and institutions are starting to get more interested in investing into crypto. You can see here Robinhood continues their massive growth and expansion. They recently acquired a Canadian exchange, so they're going to have offerings for crypto services to Canadians, and also they're looking to develop a blockchain-based program to trade U.S. securities in Europe. So basically you'll be able to, or people in Europe will be able to have access to trading, say, Apple stock or Robinhood stock using the blockchain and tokenizing these assets. So it's basically tokenizing the stock on the blockchain. So there's going to be faster transaction times, less transaction fees. So there's definitely security, obviously, using the blockchain. So there's definitely some advantages of being able to use the blockchain and tokenization to be able to trade U.S. securities in some of these other countries. Particularly right now, Robinhood is focusing on Europe. So we are also seeing that the Bitcoin ETFs are continuing to grow. More and more interest are going into the Bitcoin ETFs. We saw that Goldman Sachs, one of the largest banks in the world, has invested and have bought into the BlackRock IBIT ETF, and you can see that 11 of the spot ETFs have attracted over 5 billion since early April. So as we mentioned, Bitcoin has gone up over 40% since the beginning of April in those 5-6 weeks. And we've seen that more demand has gone into these Bitcoin ETFs. So it just is another indicator of how much is coming into the cryptocurrency space, how much is coming into Bitcoin. So that's why we're seeing these green candles going into Bitcoin right now, because people are buying, institutions are buying, governments are buying. So it's just one thing after another that continues to show and indicate the interest that is coming into the cryptocurrency market. As we see here, Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ETFs list, you can see that the BlackRock ETF currently has over 630,000 BTC. Cumulatively, they all have over 1.1 million Bitcoin, which is approximately $124 billion, and that continues to grow. You can see they have a share nearly 6% of all of the Bitcoin that is available, that 21 million, they are continuing to eat at that percentage. Also, as we know, MicroStrategy continues to buy. And so if you are interested in getting into Bitcoin, you definitely want to learn. The time is now. You want to get familiar, because you see that these institutions and these governments and these companies are trying to get as much Bitcoin as possible. But what's great about Bitcoin and it being an open, decentralized network is that you and I also have the opportunity to stack Satoshis, but it's going to continue to get more and more expensive. So get familiar, learn now. And as you can see, Bitcoin versus internet adoption, it is growing faster than internet adoption. And obviously we know how big the internet has gotten, one of the biggest industrial revolutions of our time. And you can see that the adoption rate of Bitcoin is going up exponentially and is growing faster than that of the internet. So it's just going to show you that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are the future. It is the new wave, and it's time to jump aboard. Of course, you can check us out on X as well as Instagram nearly every day. And of course, we appreciate you watching us here on YouTube. We bring you a video every single week. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.